Yeah, yeah, yeah. So many lies that you hear from the net, they don't get her respect. She reporting the truth, not a check. You want an unbiased opinion straight from the chest, not a bit of conflict or someone here for a check. Tune in, these are thoughts from a lawyer on a mission who goes so hard it's like she works on commission. Trolls in the comments might say she tripping cause they lack the knowledge, they don't know they missing. Got a couple current events that you like, wanna know about law from the eyes. Tired of all these blogs running lies because their agendas are disguised. Tune in to the intellect, cause I'm sure y'all missing all the facts of the case that she steady is gifting. Someone here for the people, man, it's so uplifting. If you ain't subscribed yet, then you just omitting facts.
Hello, everyone. It is Pam Esquire, also known as Your Law Intellect. Happy Sunday to all of the intellects or the social media jurors, as we call ourselves. Make sure that you hit that like button if you have not done so already. Subscribe to the channel if you find our content interesting. We would so greatly appreciate it. Thank you to all of the people that are already in the chat and all of those that have already hit that like button. I see you, Cupcake. I see you. I see you. Queen Diva's Good Vibes. Alice, welcome back. Sonia and Rhodey and Annette and Eva and Cynthia and Miss T and Jeff. VS Speaks. Thank you guys so much for coming over here on this Sunday evening. Well, we are going to discuss YNW Melly, or better known as his government name, is Jamel. It's spelled demons, right? So this was the first red flag. When I seen that his last name was spelled Demons, I got a little nervous. But what happened was they pronounce it differently. I don't know if that's really how you pronounce it, but they definitely pronounced it Demons during the trial, and they correct anybody else that called him his last name Demons. I don't know why this man has not changed his last name like a Jamie Foxx, but I digress. For those of you that know, we call each, we the YNW intellects over here. We were following the YNW Melly trial. We actually streamed it every single day that they had the trial. It was 4 times out of the week for approximately a little bit over a month. And the last few hearings I didn't stream because they flagged the channel. We were sharing it from Law and Crime, and everybody on this particular day got flagged because they were playing a documentary of YNW Melly. And yeah, so anyways, let me give you a brief summary of who YNW Melly is, because I didn't know who he was until we started covering the case over here on this platform. YNW is Young in World is what it stands for, and they're a rap group. So the originators of YNW were YNW Melly, YNW Juvie, and YNW Sack Chaser. So one night they were at a studio. There's surveillance showing them all being at the studio. It was all three of the ones I just named, plus YNW Bortland, who is Cortland Henry. They get into a vehicle and some time goes by. Of course, they leave the studio. Time goes by. Suddenly, YNW Bortland, or Cortland Henry is his government name, pulls up to Miramar Hospital with 2 deceased bodies in the back, riddled with bullets. And they were YNW Sack Chaser and YNW Juvie. He runs inside the hospital and he basically says it was a drive-by shooting. So there were bullets like riddled all through the side of the door. So he said it was a drive-by shooting. Well, of course, the Miramar police, they interview YNW board and they say, tell us where it happened. Oh my God, like give us direction to where we can go. So he gives them a location where this alleged shooting occurred, and there were no shell casings. There was nothing to indicate that there was a shooting. There was no glass. There was nothing. So then they do further investigation. They actually find a location that has a bunch of bullets and casings, and they come to the conclusion that there was never a drive-by shooting. They believe that Bortland made it all up, that YNW Melly or Jamel Dimmons, who was sitting in the back seat, actually unalived two of his friends, YNW Juvie and YNW Satchase. And the problem with this case that everybody had in the beginning was, why, if they are best friends, why would someone do something like that? I mean, we all wanted to know. So we watched the trial day by day. They had Jamel Dimmons, or YNW Melly, was the first one to be tried. He has been in jail for the last 4 years since his arrest in 2000, I believe it was 19. Bortland, or Cortland Henry, was arrested as well, but he was on house arrest. He had been on house arrest even all up through the hearing that we watched, the trial of YNW Melly. So we watched some really good, in my opinion, there was some good defense work. We all, if you see certain names in there from the intellects, we named everybody. Everybody had a name. We couldn't remember people's real name. So if you hear some of these names in here, that's where it came from. So one of the defense attorneys, it was a black guy, and we call him ZLK because he was just like really that good or whatever. But anyway, there was a lot of evidence that on YNW Melly's team, they really fought not to have admitted into trial. And it eventually led to, and I believe it was because a lot of the evidence that wasn't admitted, it eventually led to a hung jury. So now, guys, since that hung jury has happened, there has been a lot of motions that were filed, which kind of gives us a sense of some of the shenanigans that had been going on. So first and foremost, Christine Bradley, who was the prosecutor on this case, she has been removed. And she was removed because it was the defense of YNW Melly found out that she had what's called Brady material, which is exculpatory evidence, aka evidence that could be used to help YNW Melly in his case. And allegedly, she hid this evidence. And there was a big trial. I mean, not a trial, but a hearing where she had to get on the stand and get questioned about it. But anyway, ultimately, she was removed from the case. The defense wanted the whole state, like one their whole prosecution team, to be removed. But the judge was like, no, 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 we're not doing all of that. But what we will do is remove Christine Bradley. And that decision came down last Thursday. Now, they were slated to have trial, I believe it was last Monday. But because of all these motions and hearing, it has not happened yet. But it's anticipated that it will happen soon because of the speedy trial rule. And the defense is not asking for more time. And I think part of that strategy is because they know they have a new prosecution team who is going to have to learn this entire case. But the thing is, Christine Bradley did have a co-counsel. She didn't do much in the case, but she did do some. So I would surmise that, because even when you're co-counsel, you're supposed to know the case. So maybe she'll be on the case or whatever. But hopefully that summarizes the YNW Melly, because a lot of people said that they had not been following the case. So hopefully that just gives you a synopsis before we get into some of these motions. I need to make sure, as you guys come in, make sure you hit the like button. Subscribe if you have not done so already. Miss HLS said, that's good that she was removed because she wasn't good at all. Well, how do you really feel? The defense should have wanted her to stay. You know what? I think the defense wanted to set it up where they can try to dismiss this case, which is what they're trying to do. They have also filed a motion to dismiss the case, which was argued last Friday, and the judge held it he held it off under advisement is what it's called, because he's going to come back with the long written opinion instead of saying it right there on the record. And oftentimes when the judges come and they hear your oral argument, they pretty much know how they're going to rule. Unless you just come with some big old bombshell, they've already read your pleadings, they've done their research, they've had their clerks and their senior attorneys do all their research and all of that. And so they already know what they're going to do. So I would be very surprised if he dismisses this case, but the way this case has turned into a clown show, it would not shock me if, whatever. I guess anything is possible with this case. But I wanted to talk about two specific motions that were filed by the state. So I'm going to share with you guys first a video of this is YNW Melly's ex-girlfriend's mom. She took the stand, and when she took the stand, she was very combative. She didn't want to answer the questions. She made some allegations against the state because allegedly she gave a statement before and claims, I guess, that Melly may have told her daughter that he was involved in this actual unaliving of the two best friends. But when she got to the stand, she didn't have anything to give to the state. She didn't want to be there. She was pissed off because she said she was on tether. They arrested her while she was in another country on vacation. She felt bullied by the state. And so she was very combative. And she was like, I don't recall. She refused to be helpful at all. So you need this context before we get into this motion. You said she showed her whole behind. That's what Andrew said. Yes, she did. And yeah, they called her, I think it was Cupcake, and renamed her Bun Bun because you see she had a bun on her head. But we're going to share part of this from Law and Crime. We're not going to do too much, But this is Felicia Holmes, who is the mother of YNW Melly's ex-girlfriend. She was his girlfriend at the time of the unaliving of Juvie and Sack Chaser.
State your full legal name for the record.
Felicia Ashe Holmes,
Please spell your first and last name for the court.
FELICIA, Angel Health and Relief.
Please have a seat. Ms. Holmes?
Yes, sir.
That microphone in front of you does not move back and forth, though. Just up and down, but not back and forth.
Okay.
You ready?
Yes, sir.
Counsel, you may proceed.
Thank you. Good morning, Ms. Holmes.
Good morning.
How are you today?
Not good.
Are you cold?
No, I'm just, I don't feel comfortable.
Are you nervous?
I feel threatened.
So, Ms. Holmes, I want to start and just talk about who you are.
Yes.
Ms. Holmes, do you have any children?
Yes, I do.
Can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury who is Mariah Hamilton?
My youngest daughter.
And how old is Mariah?
She's 22 right now.
And Mariah, did she have a romantic relationship with someone named Jamel Simmons, also known as YNW Melly?
Yes, she did.
When was she involved in that romantic relationship with Melly?
I'm thinking maybe 2016 or so till maybe 2019, 20.
Okay. Did you have the opportunity to meet Mr. Simmons?
Yes, I did.
What did you refer to him as?
I call him Jamel Melly.
Do you see him here in the courtroom?
Yes, I do.
Where is he?
He's right here.
And
How's
what's
she
he wearing?
smiling?
A white turtleneck and a gray jacket.
Your Honor, may the record reflect in court identification of the defendant.
Yes, record rule.
I knew it was going to be a problem when I seen that big cheese when she looked at him. I was like, oh, she's not going to say anything bad about him in this case. But let's go on.
Will reflect in court identification of defendant.
So in October of 2018, had you met the defendant prior?
Yes, I did.
How many times had you met him in person prior to that?
A couple.
A couple?
I think two maybe.
Okay. Did you follow him on social media?
I'm not sure. In 2018, I wasn't. No.
Did you know if he had social media at that time?
I didn't. No, I didn't.
Did you have a social media account at that time?
Yes, I did.
And what was your social media handle?
I'm sorry,
What was your social media name
my name, for which one?
for Instagram?
Okay, so you guys, this was her full testimony. So I just wanted to introduce who she was. Well, her daughter, we all were asking, well, where is her daughter at? Because her daughter never testified. And what the mother, Felicia Holmes, was supposed to testify to is what she learned from her daughter. So suddenly her daughter did pop up on Law and Crime. So this is the beginning of the one before the daughter starts talking. So I'm gonna show this part real quick.
Deposition years later in 2022 was not consistent with what she told police in 2018. In fact, when Holmes took the stand in YNW Melly's trial, things got heated, basically accusing the government, from law enforcement to the prosecutor, of threatening her and her daughter, Mariah Hamilton, to testify against Melly.
Did you have an opportunity to read the statement you gave in 2018?
I read the statement,
Okay.
but
Was it
I don't recall, I don't remember anything from that statement, but I do remember my deposition from December 22.
Were you honest and truthful with law enforcement when you spoke with them?
I would hope so. I mean, it was 2018. I went through a lot in that year, so I'm not sure where my mindset was at that time.
She said, I would hope so. Basically, she's not going to say that she wasn't truthful because she's not trying to get her a perjury charge. But I guess she's trying to say what she was going through at that time in her life. She's just lost a lot of her memory, so she may not know what she told them back then.
I do remember that they kind of bullied me and threatened my daughter to take her to jail for accessory after that. I do remember that.
When you first took the stand, you said, "I feel threatened."
Yes, sir, I do.
Who do you feel threatened by?
Objection, Your Honor.
Christine Bradley, the prosecutor's office.
This prosecutor.
Yes, I do.
So with that in mind, we here at Law and Crime had the unique opportunity to actually interview Mariah Hamilton herself. Again, she never appeared in court. Now, in our interview, she was accompanied by her attorney, Christopher Barris. This was in his law office. And also her mother, Felicia Holmes, was there as well. And we asked her some questions. And with that, let's play you our interview. Mariah Hamilton, thank you so much for coming on. I think I want to start off by just saying I'm so happy to see you and meet you, because it's been kind of, I think a lot of people wanted to hear from you. I think a lot of people were expecting to see you at the trial. And there's been some issues in terms of what's been happening with the police. If you can explain to people why we haven't seen you or heard from you.
You guys haven't seen or heard from me because I'm currently wanted. I've tried to get the warrant lifted plenty of times, but it's just been like a constant battle with my lawyer and the prosecutor. So I've just been, laying low, trying to get the warrant lifted before I could even come in and, speak my part.
Let's talk about that. So, and by the way, you are in your lawyer's office. Your lawyer, Christopher Barris, is off to the side. He's going to come in a little bit later. Yeah. So I saw that it was only, I think, yesterday or the few days before, you filed a complaint against the lead investigator in YNW Melly's trial, Mark Moretti. And you basically accused him of bullying you and harassing you into providing testimony in this case. What can you tell us about that?
When the situation first happened, me and my mom was I was threatened. I was 17, about to turn 18. They came to my house. They were telling me that they were going to arrest me with accessory after the fact. My mom didn't know what to do. I was young. I didn't have a criminal record. I didn't have a background. I was trying to go to the military at the time. So I had to just tell them what they wanted to hear so they could leave me alone, which I thought they would leave me alone, but they didn't. So, yeah.
Why did they think that you were a part of what happened?
Because I was his girlfriend at the time. So they thought that I knew more than what I was telling them that I knew.
So you guys get the picture. She's basically saying that she went down there and she gave some information to the police because they were threatening her. And so she and her mom basically told them what they wanted to hear. So whatever implications that she gave, she's saying that it wasn't true. She was just being bullied by this office. Now it's going to be interesting how this plays out, seeing that Detective Moretti has had accusations against him and he had a whole investigation because of this case and allegedly asking a officer to lie for him when it came to Jamie King, who is YNW Melly's mom. I guess there was a situation where YNW Melly's mom, Jamie King, went to the police station. And when she got there, she was there with her attorney. Moretti was there, and there was a prosecutor that was in a special prosecution unit that was there and was questioning related to some witness tampering. There was an allegation of witness tampering. And prior to the day before, that special prosecutor had executed a warrant for Jamie King's phone. So while they were doing this interview, Moretti basically said, "Give me the phone," and tried to snatch it up out of her hand and all of that. The issue was Moretti was outside his jurisdiction because it was a prosecutor from another unit, from a special unit that was covering this. So with the prosecutor, she testified, this is partly how Christine Bradley got kicked off of this case. The special prosecutor testified that she was surprised that Moretti tried to execute that warrant. Yes, there was a warrant that she signed, but she said she thought he would do it at a later date and have someone within that jurisdiction, because from her knowledge, you have to have someone that's an officer within that jurisdiction to serve them legally. So she was shocked that they were, that he was trying to take this phone, and he was physically trying to take this phone from Jamie King, Melly's mom, like to the point where he hurt her wrist, like she had an injury. So when all of this happened, allegedly, I guess there was a police officer that was just looking to try to find what room he was supposed to be in. He walks in the room, and I guess Moretti tells him, because he was from that jurisdiction, hey, if someone asks you, basically about, say you were here the whole time. So what it looked like when he executed this warrant, it was somebody there from that jurisdiction that was there when that warrant was executed. And all this happened in front of this special prosecutor. So that was the exculpatory evidence. So because of that, and that whole entire incident was not disclosed to the defense till like a year later, or they did it piecemeal, but didn't tell the entire, because the fact that Moretti allegedly asked someone to lie on his behalf, that is evidence that they can impeach him with his credibility, that he lies. He's a liar, so I think this may fit in to her basically saying I was coerced. So they're setting this whole tone of coercion. So anyways, there was a motion that was filed by the state. There were several motions filed by the defense. There were also several motions filed by the state. And what the state is requesting, and I actually shared it in the members only, so those that are in the members only probably have already seen this and were able to read it, was the state of Florida is trying to do a motion to declare the witness unavailable for trial and a motion for forfeiture for wrongdoing. So when you declare a witness, because they essentially know that Mariah will probably get on the stand if she comes, if they can find her, because you heard her, she's on the run, even though they said exactly where her location was. I don't know how I guess she probably wouldn't have still been there by the time, it wasn't live streamed, it was pre-recorded. So, but she's on the run. And then we see how her mom, Felicia Holmes, aka Bun Bun, how she was on the stand where she was like, I don't remember anything. So what the state is trying to do is not even try to call them, knowing that they're basically going to do the same thing and act like they don't know anything. And whatever their prior statement was, the state wants that to be admitted. So they don't even have to go through that because they're going to consider them unavailable. And part of the unavailability is there's allegations that Bortland or Cortland Henry and Melly, as you guys saw, just picked up another charge for witness tampering, because part of that is alleged that they were threatening Mariah's mom, threatening Mariah through Mariah's mom, Felicia Holmes. So some text messages were also released that showed some conversation between Cortland Henry and Mariah's mom. But anyway, this is the motion. So it has on October 26, 2018, the defendant committed the murders of AW and CT. The defendant contacted his then girlfriend Mariah Hamilton and told her that there had been a drive-by shooting and the victims had been killed. The communication was made via video call. This call was witnessed by Felicia Holmes, the mother of Mariah Hamilton. Ms. Holmes testified to the video call at a June 2023 trial, as well as numerous statements made to law enforcement prior to the arrest of the defendant in this case. The defendant and defendant Cortland Henry were indicted for first-degree murder. Mariah Hamilton gave a sworn statement to Detective Mark Moretti regarding the actions of the defendant on October 26, 2018. This statement was audio recorded. So apparently they went down there singing like a bird, and then for whatever reason, they have changed their mind. Thank you so much, Karen Bonita. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Intellects. Thank you. So let's go on. So there's an audio recording of Mariah, who at the time was Melly's girlfriend, spilling all the information she allegedly got, because it is alleged that after this shooting, Melly contacted her FaceTime and her mom overheard it, and that's supposed to be what she was going to testify to, what the information she got. Mariah Hamilton cooperated with the Office of the State Attorney and appeared pursuant to a subpoena on February 2019. Ms. Hamilton and her mother, Ms. Holmes, asked for their addresses not to be made public. In September of 2021, defense counsel for Mr. Demons indicated that they would like to coordinate the deposition of Mariah Hamilton and Felicia Holmes for November of 2021. Investigator Bruce Dowdy of the Brevard County State Attorney's Office Investigation Unit served Ms. Hamilton and Ms. Holmes at their listed home address. Both witnesses failed to appear for deposition and failed to appear for mandatory pretrial conferences. An order to show cause was signed by the Honorable Andrew Siegel. Holmes and Hamilton secured an attorney to attempt to quash the prior subpoenas. So attempt to quash, they were just objecting to it and trying to get it stricken from they didn't want to have to actually abide by it. So they were trying to get it quashed or deleted where they didn't have to do it. The 4th District Court of Appeals denied Hamilton and Holmes' petition for cert on January 4th. So when it was denied, they actually appealed it. And it was also denied January 4th of 2022. The Honorable Andrew Siegel then signed a material witness rendition writ to bring both individuals before the court to testify. Felicia Holmes was located in the U.S. Virgin Islands in November of 2022, traveling under a different name with the driver's license belonging to another individual in her possession. Come on now, Bun Bun. She was extradited to Broward County and placed on an electronic monitor to ensure her presence in court. Efforts to locate Mariah Hamilton have not been successful. So apparently Mariah is over there hiding real good because they haven't found her, but they found her mother under an assumed name with a license that don't belong to her in the Virgin Islands. Records obtained in an effort to locate Mariah Hamilton and Felicia Holmes show that the defendant's mother, Jamie King, had made a payment in the amount of $1,620 to pay for the vehicle of Mariah Hamilton. The payment was made from the PayPal account, and it has the account and the name associated with Jamie King. The defendant has been incarcerated since February 13th of 2019. The case proceeded to trial before the Honorable John Murphy in April of 2023. The case ended in a hung jury in July of 2023. Ms. Hamilton did not appear to testify. Cortland Henry was granted pretrial release by the Honorable Andrew Siegel in 2020 and has been out on bond, with the exception of a brief period of time due to a violation of pretrial conditions. Now, this was before Cortland Henry now is incarcerated because he actually was hit with another charge, like I said in the beginning, for witness tampering. And so his house arrest, his tether was revoked, and now he is currently probably, well, they're not gonna make him a Bunky or Melly, but he's in the same facility probably as Melly right now. Detective Danny Polo. Now, Danny Polo was an alleged gang expert, if that's what you wanted to call him. But anyways, he became involved in the criminal case regarding Demons in February of 2022 when contacted to review documentation to determine whether or not Demons was a criminal gang member. Separately, Detective Polo had previously investigated James Howard. James Howard is currently incarcerated at the Broward County Main Jail and had been in the custody of the Broward Sheriff's Office since October 28th of 2020. James Howard is currently being prosecuted by the Office of the Statewide Prosecution for one count of conspiracy to commit racketeering. As part of the investigation, Detective Polo periodically monitors the jail calls of James Howard. Each inmate is assigned a particular number and PIN code and access the recorded and monitored jail phone system. Jamel Demons does not have phone privileges due to disciplinary actions while in custody. Now, his mom did say that he cannot talk on the phone. He cannot get letters like in an envelope. If you are to write him, it has to be a postcard. And then I think recently they took that away. So he has no communication really from the outside except when he goes to court. Detective Polo, while monitoring the cause of James Howard, heard discussions about Howard communicating with Mr. Demons and passing messages. Between August 2022, oh shoot, it got a number on there, my bad. I don't know who still got these same numbers. So anyway, a message, let me see. Let me just skip that whole paragraph. Inmate letters, commonly referred to as kites, were also recovered from the cells of Terrence Mathis and James Howard. The letters reference specific instances in defendant Demons' case, including references to his case going to the Florida Supreme Court on issues regarding the death penalty. Demons also write that there are 0 witnesses. The undersigned expects that Mariah Hamilton will fail to appear for trial, which is scheduled to begin jury selection October 9th, which, as you see, that did not happen. The witness has not contacted the undersigned as of this date. The purpose of the statements and inducements of the defendant were to prevent her from testifying in court in the case at hand. So then they have all of the law, because you have the right to confrontation. This is why you don't have just affidavits entered or people that just do statements but don't come in, because as a defense counsel, I have the right to confrontation. I can cross-examine them. But if that person is unavailable due to my client's own wrongdoing, then there is a hearsay exception that says they're an unavailable witness based due to your client and perhaps intimidation, because that's what they did the charge for. So now they're going to try to get this statement in. The statement could not be, it was not entered in before because of the hearsay. So that's why that was not, it was objected to by the defense and it was not entered into because of hearsay. And so now, since they gave him these witness tampering charges, they're probably going to be able to enter whatever evidence they have in, and then to prove it, they'll be able to enter more of the information in the statements in. So that's what they're trying to do. But that's Mariah. They're trying to get whatever statement. So apparently she gave them some really good information that was beneficial to the state. And Mariah and her mom decided that they didn't want to participate in any of this trial. And so now the state said, that's cool. You don't have to show up. We'll just make you an unavailable witness. So the judge, I don't think, even made a ruling on that motion yet. But hey, you said up there with the mask throwing up gang signs. Yeah, that we clowned. If you guys were a part of when we were watching this whole trial, that gang expert was not literally it was stuff he didn't know the answer to that you could have Googled, or some of the rappers have already said what it meant and he didn't know. So I was just it's very interesting they chose him to be the expert. So that's that. But then there was another motion that was filed by the state, because what they want to do, and honestly, I think they just filed us so the public can know some of the other shenanigans that's been going on in this case. This is a motion to refer to potential seated jurors by number instead of their names. So they don't want the names to even be disseminated to the public, which I don't think it was before, but we never even seen the jurors. We only knew who one of the jurors was because they came out and I think they did an interview or something. And that was the holdout juror, and was able to get somebody else to hold out as well, which created the hung jury. Because I believe ultimately it was like 9-3. So 9 were for conviction and 3 of them were not guilty. So this one is the state's motion to refer to potential and seated jurors by number instead of name. So the first one, the defendant is charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder with the enhancement of being committed by a criminal gang member. The co-defendant, Cortland Henry, is also charged with first-degree murder. Often such motions are speculative. I can't even talk. Often such motions are speculative as to a potential for improper contact of a juror. However, in this instance, the evidence is clear that measures must be taken by this court to prevent any such outside influence. There is evidence that suggests that potential or seated jurors in the upcoming jury trial will be subjected to improper outside influence or harassment due to the pattern of conduct during the previous trial. As this court is well aware, judicial relief cannot be based on speculative assertions, and it has the case law. Mere speculative or conclusory allegations are not sufficient to warrant judicial intervention. The state is asking to have the potential jurors and seated jurors for the time period of the trial and a limited time frame after the trial have their identities kept confidential. Then it has the standard for impaneling an anonymous jury. So let's go on to paragraph 5. The whole thing, if you remember, both of these documents are in there. If you guys want to read them into their entirety, they are available for you. On September 28, 2023, the undersigned received a letter via U.S. mail that was purported to be from one of the jurors in the trial that ended July 22nd of 2023. Pursuant to the order of the Honorable John Murphy, the identifying information of the jury will be redacted from all filed exhibits. The original letter and envelope are in the custody of the Broward Sheriff Office Crime Scene Unit for further analysis. The purported author of the letter is identified, though facts and circumstances, as the same holdout juror who provided an interview to the Sun Centennial in an article published on Friday, September 2nd, 2023. This is why this is so weird, because allegedly this is the same juror that held out, but yet and still, let's go down to her letter that she allegedly wrote the prosecutor's office. So she wrote this on September 26th of 2023. Dear Miss Christine Bradley, it's taken me a while to decide if I should write to you this note. I would like to congratulate you and Miss Smith on the great job you did representing the state versus Jamel Demons. I want to wish you and your team the best of luck in the next coming weeks. It's a big responsibility, and due to the fact that Mr. Demons is somehow related to the so-called GANG activity, let me see. You are here to go forward. You are, I don't even know what that's supposed to be. To go forward a second time around. Basically, she's saying because you trying to affiliate them, that was part of your issue, in the first time. After thinking about my personal experience as a juror, my advice to you is as follows. So, yes, according to this letter, this juror is giving the prosecutor advice on how she can win the next time. But yet and still, she is allegedly the juror that felt like he was not guilty. Number one, timeline of cell phone activity, cast report. 2, stay away from selecting young ladies as part of the jury. 3, from the very first day, have the jury be escorted all the time by Gary and BSO. Number 4, pay attention to the relationships between Mr. Dimmons and his mother. Very tight. Number 5, ballistic and coroner's reports a must. These enables to see that the drive-by shooting is a complete lie. Number 6, videos related to the record studio a must. Those were played in the first trial, man. What are you even talking about? Many of the jurors were afraid of GANG retaliation. Don't waste too much time on gang-related material. People are afraid and they lie to you when say they are not. This kid has mental issues. He took medication since he was a kid. How you know, ma'am? How do you know this? He is obsessed with GUNS. How do you know that, ma'am? I really hope that the state takes this route instead of the GANG theory. Just by reviewing several interviews that he did in the past, you can notice many facts about his character and personality, i.e., Melly versus Melvin. So, ma'am, we want to know when you were doing all of this research. Was it during the trial? Was it after the trial? When were you doing all this research? That's what we want to know. Probably why his defense team will refute bringing this information into account. Both cars left the studio and both cars were supposed to reach Mr. Dimmons' place. Something happened along the way that triggered this kid to commit those murders. This is my theory. No one else. They were probably dead prior to reaching US 27. Good luck. And then it has the juror number. What? I don't understand this, because if she was the holdout, then what did you do after the holdout? You went home, you were like, let me go look and see the information I can get on this guy and see if we made the right decision after the fact. So now do you feel bad that you made this decision? So now the things that you didn't think were strong evidence, you're trying to let them know how they can persuade someone that like you who didn't believe that he did it. Like, what was your point, ma'am? It's just, could this be one of the 2 jurors who were convinced by the who held out to change? That's what they're saying. She's saying, so remember, it was one lady that held out. She did an interview. She did an interview in the Centennial. When she did that interview, she basically said that she was able to convince a couple of other people that they had not proved their case. So that's what I'm saying. If you did this research after the fact, is it that you're having remorse that you voted one way and persuaded other people, so now you feel a moral obligation to let them know what they did wrong? Okay, let's go to paragraph 6. So I read the letter already. Specifically, in one part of the letter, it stated many of the jurors were afraid of GA retaliation. People are afraid and they lie to you when say they are not. Another section stated, from the very first day, have the jury be escorted all the time by Gary and BSO. The juror was unable to write the entire word in the letter. The final paragraph of the letter includes, something happened along the way that triggered this kid to commit those. This is my theory, no one else. They were probably dead prior to reaching. The state has not contacted the prior juror to question that individual with regard to the letter or any statements therein. On October 2nd, 2023, a search warrant was executed in Miami-Dade County on the residence of Cortland Henry. During the search of the residence, a notebook was found that included references to the previous jurors in the case, which ended in a mistrial. The jurors were referenced by appearance such as glasses, hair color, or perceived ethnicity and age. Some of the jurors were identified by their actual names. See attached Exhibit B. The court has already sui sponte made findings of fact on July 21st of 2023 that the names of the jurors should be kept confidential from the initial trial and that both the state and the defendant must prevent disclosure of the names of the juror. The state is asking for additional protective measures to prevent the members of the jury from being filmed or photographed or viewed by members of the gallery. So basically, they're asking the court to remember how, for those that watched the trial, there was a big thing about Detective Polo allegedly being undercover, even though it took 5 minutes for everybody to figure out who he was, and his family had a cash app, and the wife had like, he's supposed to be an undercover cop, so you can't. So he came in first with a ski mask. But then once they were able to find that he does have his family on social media, the judge made him take the mask off because people in the juror, they were complaining because they were like, we don't want to look at this man in the ski mask. So now, basically, what the state is asking is for the jurors to not be seen by anybody. So they'll probably try to ask for some type of a barrier, like a wall, like say when you go to a dressing room and you have that wall that kind of goes around, they probably are going to ask for some type of barrier so you can't look at them or the public can't see them. So this is allegedly what was found in Cortland Henry, who is the co-defendant. He was the driver of the vehicle that pulled up with the two bodies of Juvie and Sack Chaser. This is allegedly what they found in notebooks. So it had Indian, black, old something, black, old, white, black man, white boy. Then they redacted. I guess they must have had the name or something. Black man, look, it must have had the name right here. Black lady with a bun. Had somebody's name, Miss somebody, white guy, glasses, bun, black, and they crossing them out. So maybe they are the ones that didn't make the jury. So they almost did. It looks like it almost did what lawyers do. Like when you're sitting there and you are trying to select your jury, you have a list and you write their names and their seat numbers. And then actually when you do your voir dire, which is your questioning, when you don't want them on your jury or you plan on asking them to strike for a cause or using your peremptory challenge or whatever, however you're trying to get them off of the jury, then we keep track of it. And that's what it looks like. Somebody was just keeping track of all the jurors and and it may be that, first of all, we would have to prove dealing with that department that even really was there and it wasn't planted. I mean, at this point, I'm sure that's what the defense would be trying to argue. But then aside from that, what does that mean that he was trying to do something to these people? Like, what are you alleging? What exactly are you alleging? Because it literally could just be that, just like some people, they pay people to watch the jurors. Like that's their job. With jury selection, you can hire somebody who helps you pick a jury because it's very, very important. Because people, ideologies, beliefs, morals, and all of that can weigh heavy on whether you win or lose a trial. So some people really have a job where they help with jury selection. So it could just be that he wants to see, well, what type of people do I need to stay away from my trial? Right? Because if I see that it's a bunch of women and he gets convicted, I don't want no women on my trial like that. I'm going to try to eliminate as many as I can. If I see that white women are more likely to say that he did it, then maybe I don't want white women. If I see that somebody that's of a certain age ain't giving, Melly a chance, then maybe I don't want to. it's so many explanations to this, in my opinion, just from being a person that does this, that, you know. That doesn't look like a guy's handwriting. Also, who would be this knowledgeable outside of a professional? Why is it in Borland's house? And that's my point, Andrew. Literally, it wouldn't shock me if the police officers do that as well, because we definitely do that. Our paralegals do that. You keep track of the jurors when you're questioning them. CA should not have had this in his place. He wasn't in the courtroom. We don't know. I mean, wouldn't they have been his jury as well or not? No, they had separate trials. They had their trials. So this time there were hearings about doing them together as well, but they did a motion to bifurcate, because when you have antagonistic defenses, meaning, and I saw that in the first trial, they didn't necessarily say Cortland did it, but they definitely tried to use that as reasonable doubt. Like, you guys didn't, okay, how much did you look into Cortland to see if he, could have done it? How much did you look into some other guy's name who came up? How come you didn't listen to some beefs they may have had with other people? There was a fight that occurred between them and some other rappers. Did you look into them? So they definitely used him as a person that you guys really didn't look into, because you basically had it in your mind that Melly was the one that did it. So they had what we call antagonistic defenses, because you're going to be on the same, you're sitting next to each other, but you kind of pointing the finger at each other type of deal. So they bifurcated or separated the cases. Sometimes they separate them and you have a whole separate trial. Like in this case, that's how it was supposed to be. Melly had his trial. Bortland has not had his yet. I don't believe his is set now for January of 2024. So he was supposed to have his in October. It was supposed to start, I think, October 9th as well, or October 2nd. It was like the week before, maybe. So now his Cortland Henry, or YNW Bortland, his is moved to January now. So they were trying to try them together again, and they must have been able to bifurcate it again. Sometimes they do it where you have the same trial, but you have separate juries. So I had that happen in a case that I had where we had two defendants, but I picked my jury and they picked their jury. But this time, the first time they had separate trials, because Melly already had his, which is a hung jury. Cortland Henry has not had his trial just yet. If he was in the courtroom, that would have made news. Please, he was on house arrest, so he couldn't. No, we know he wasn't there. We know he wasn't there, and in the fact that it was streaming. But that's what they're saying, is somebody, I guess, maybe a plan in there, and they're giving him this information. And I don't know if they're trying to insinuate that he was going to do something, once he knew who these jurors was. I don't know. They haven't really said it in the motion we just read. But even streaming online, like us watching the trial, they never showed the jurors' faces. So we don't know what the jurors look like either. Let me see. Rody Dog said, can't trust the prosecution. Well, that's pretty much what the defense is arguing. So we're waiting on the judge to come down with their decision and say whether they are going to dismiss the case based on all of this alleged misconduct that has occurred by the prosecution. This is ridiculous. Why not go sit down and relax yourself? Now you're proving that everyone was saying about the government not proving their case. And I think that's part of the problem, is to go to the lengths that it appears like not turning over exculpatory evidence. This was happening during the trial. There were a lot of objections of the government trying to enter in evidence that they had never given to the defense allegedly. And they were objecting. They got sanctioned, I think, during the trial, if I recall correctly, for not turning over evidence or bringing it the day of instead of giving it to them prior to, like they're supposed to. because when you have a standing discovery order, you have to supplement it as you get it. And so they were trying to do some little sneak moves and try to get things in, and they got sanctioned for that. They got reprimanded by the judge. So it's like, if you got the evidence, the state have the evidence. If you think your stuff is solid, then why are you going through all of these hoops and stuff to do things that can discredit you, your theory, and your case and your department? Like, why would you even do that? That's what baffles me about this case. Because some of the stuff we heard, even though she wasn't able to get it in, they had some very interesting evidence that needs to be, somebody's going to have to account for if it gets entered in. It's just the defense was prepared to argue to keep it out. And it seemed like the prosecution wasn't that prepared. So a lot of the stuff that they probably banked on that they would be able to admit in this trial wasn't admitted. The defense was ready. They had every case law, they had every rule, they had everything. And again, that he has the black attorney. He's not, I think his name was Richard or something. I can't even think of his real name. But he's no longer on the case. So they have 2 additional white male attorneys, I believe, that joined the team, and they're supposed to be really good. They are the ones that have been arguing the motions as well. And then they still have Liberty, and she's a whole nother thing. I saw the videos of her and her baby daddy and all the drama they have going on. It was like the body cams and the police reports and all of that related to her and her drama she has, I guess, with a child she has with somebody. But he still has Miss Liberty. He still has they called him Rooftop. I can't even think of his name. Can't think of anybody's name. Everybody was nicknaming everybody. So they're still on there. And then now on the state side, it's about to be all new prosecutors as well. Yeah. Road, you said judge is doing a great. I think he's a decent judge. Some people think he's biased. I heard a lot of that. They felt like he's biased. It's like, a lot of people believe that Melly is not innocent. Some people believe that, but they also have to agree that he deserves a fair trial, regardless of what you believe. So all of these shenanigans that's happening is unnecessary and it shouldn't be happening. So the judge seems biased and defense kind of hinted to that. That's what Queen Diva's Good Vibes Only just said. He has about 4 lawyers. Yes, he does. He has 4 lawyers. Yeah, Tion said Law and Crime never put the cameras on the jurors. Yeah, I didn't think they did. Typically, you don't. But, I mean, anybody in the courtroom saw who the jurors were, obviously. So, that is that. So, the defense actually they have a few motions as well. Of course, their motion to dismiss, we're waiting on the judge on that. They did the motion to recuse Christine, which they won. Their motion to dismiss the entire state's attorney office, they lost on that. They also wanted to depose the head prosecutor, the elected official. Very, very hard to depose elected officials because they feel like if we allow you to depose them, he or she has busy jobs. If we allow you to depose them, that's going to open up the door. It's going to be a slippery slope. Everybody's going to feel like they can, that they can be the ones to depose them. So I knew that probably wasn't going to fly. But so that they got that denied, and they have a bunch of motions to suppress. The defense has motions to suppress a lot of the evidence, probably a lot of the stuff they argued in the last trial, in the first trial that was a hung jury. They have those coming up. So, but those were the biggest motions that I saw that I thought was worth discussing. Of course, the motion to dismiss is extremely important, but we've already pretty much discussed that. It was based on they're basically accusing them of committing a crime in that motion. So that's why the judge was taking it very, very seriously. And taking his time and being methodical, I'm sure, because you also have to look at whatever the decision is, either side can appeal it, and then that'll linger on with this case, or it could be because of the speedy trial rule, they may go on with the case, and then wait on the motions, because he has the right to a speedy trial. That's why I don't understand what happens in Fulton County in Georgia. I don't understand how, like, for instance, if you guys have been over here following Ernesto Williams, how he is literally, and I don't like none of the stuff he's accused of, but it's like, how have you really been in there for over a year like this? And nothing? You don't even have a trial date or anything? I think it's ridiculous. And apparently they do that in that county in Georgia. But I'm like, don't you have the right? Usually cases wrap up in about 6 months. So I think Monday they have to appoint the lead prosecutor. Well, the judge was trying to ask, well, how long is it going to take you guys? Like, how long is it going to take? Well, he kind of hinted at it earlier that week, because when Christine testified, he said, well, what are you going to do if you end up being removed? Do you already have somebody ready to take your place? And she said, we'll just cross that bridge when we get there. He was giving you the heads up then that he was leaning towards getting rid of you, lady. I read between those lines. She was like, no, we'll just cross that bridge when we get there if it happens. This Broward County, this wouldn't be my first time seeing them with shenanigans. I know a lot locked up here behind Broward. Okay, twin spins. That was twin spins. But all right, guys, I told you guys in the membership that I would give an update on the Melly trial. If I stream it, it will probably be in the membership. And the reason for that is because of that strike that they gave me the last time. I was able to get it removed, but they did strike because I can't. Obviously, it's a live stream trial. Everybody got struck on that day. It wasn't just me, and that was the first and the only time. And I had streamed it for like 3 or 4 weeks before it happened. But so I think I'm going to, if I stream it, and I probably wouldn't be able to do it every day like I did earlier. It took way more time than I thought it would. So I was streaming it and I was in other rooms still working and doing what I had to do. But I will probably do it in the membership. So if you guys are not members and you want to watch the trial with us, maybe we'll do Cortland's as well. That's in January. We've never watched that. Then go ahead and join the membership, and we'll probably stream it if you want to watch it with us. We have good commentary. We go back and forth. We are methodical, analytical thinkers, and we actually predicted it was going to be a hung juror. We call ourselves the social media jurors, and so we evaluated and weighed the evidence just like we were the jury, and I predicted it was going to end up being a hung jury, and a lot of the other intellects predicted the same thing. So we getting good at this thing here. So yeah. He said defense got to depose all of them. Got to depose all of them. Yeah. Anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the live. Here's the Cash App if you guys are interested. Of course, it is not mandatory, but it's always appreciated. That is my Cash App. Yeah, we'll be back here, I'm sure, later this week with other lives on other topics, or if we want to talk about this a little bit more, we may be back on the Melly. So hopefully you guys are caught up if you haven't. Thank you guys again for watching. Hit that like button on the way out, and you guys have a fabulous night, and we'll be back here to do it all over again sometime this week.